They told you your standards were too high. They called you the outlier, the picky one. But what if the profound emptiness you feel when everyone else is settling down is not a curse, but a sacred contract? There exists a rare kind of soul, an emotional Spartan, if you will. You were born with an almost defiant refusal to live a lie. You cannot, for the life of you, counterfeit affection. You don't know how to half-love. For this soul, truth isn't just a value, it's the oxygen. And if a connection fails to touch the very core of your being, that deep, vulnerable bedrock, you instinctively push it away. You'd rather endure the sharp clarity of solitude than the dull pain of a convenient compromise. And that's the paradox, isn't it? This inherent integrity, this refusal to accept anything less than the real thing, is what makes you an outsider. You look around, you see friends marrying for comfort, security, or just to fill a societal expectation. And you secretly wonder, am I broken? Is my selectivity a tragic flaw that will doom me to a life alone? The ancient Stoics knew this feeling well. They taught that true strength is found not in avoiding pain, but in confronting illusions. And Carl Jung, the great alchemist of the soul, offered a powerful answer. This is not a punishment. Jung understood that for a soul destined for a truly authentic relationship, a union that elevates rather than depletes the universe, must first put you through a furnace. Every moment of profound loneliness, every encounter with the wrong person, every shattering of a false ego, is a deliberate, necessary step. Think of it not as a delay, but as an apprenticeship in self-mastery. The universe is training you. It is refining your capacity to discern the permanent from the superficial. The Stoics would call this premeditatio malorum, the conscious preparation for hardship, because they knew that the greatest prize requires the greatest internal fortress. So, if you feel overlooked, if you feel that peculiar ache of carrying a standard too high for the ordinary world, then you are exactly where you are meant to be. The universe isn't denying you love. It's preparing you for an extraordinary one. It's ensuring that when the right person arrives, you won't ruin it through fear, illusion, or lack of self-knowledge. What exactly is the very first, most painful move the universe makes? It's a separation so deep, it feels like exile. Let's dive into step 1, the separation from the collective unconscious. Loneliness is not a sign that you are unwanted. It is a sign that the universe is forcing you to become the person you were always meant to be. We talked about the rare soul's sacred contract. Now let's unpack the first trial, the separation from the collective unconscious. You're not choosing to be alone. It's an isolation that feels imposed. It's as if you've been physically plucked from the easy, warm current of humanity. You see your friends posting their perfect couple photos, getting married, building those neat, predictable lives. And you stand there, staring into the internal void, asking, why can't I feel satisfied with what they accept? Why does their solution feel like my betrayal? Carl Jung gave this feeling a powerful name, the severance from the collective unconscious. Think of the collective unconscious as society's pre-written script for love. Marry young, find stability, settle for good enough to avoid the anxiety of being single after 30. For ordinary people, entering a relationship out of fear of loneliness or for social status works fine. It fills the void. But for the rare soul, this is a spiritual poison. You instinctively know that enduring solitude is infinitely more honest than living in a comforting lie. Your soul refuses to speak the language of shallow connection. This is where Stoicism offers its first deep lesson. The Stoics, people like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, didn't fear being alone. They called it fortitude, sakin kurum. They taught that true freedom lies in what you can control, your judgments and your inner world. You cannot control who chooses you, but you can control whether you sell your soul for a temporary sense of security. When you refuse to compromise your truth, you are practicing Stoic self-sufficiency. You are saying, I am complete right now, and I will not use another human being as a psychological crutch. The reason the universe imposes this exile is brutal, but beautiful. If you are never forced to stand alone, you will never learn to distinguish your true desires from the desires society has subtly implanted in you. You must face the question, do I want love because I genuinely long to share the deepest truth of myself, or because I'm terrified of being the last one standing? This loneliness is not a period of abandonment. It is a spiritual refinement. Like gold enduring fire to burn away the dross, your soul is being stripped of all collective pretenses and borrowed beliefs. And here is the profound shift in perspective. That persistent sense of being different, of having standards too high, is not proof of your deficiency. It is the proof of your difference. You are lonely not because you are unlovable, but because you are operating at a frequency too high for the noise of the crowd. Jung said this separation is the painful but necessary first step of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming a fully realized self. So the next time that wave of profound loneliness hits, don't run from it. Sit with it. Let it cleanse you. Realize that if you had not walked this path alone, you would never have developed the clarity, the discernment, to recognize authentic love when it finally appears. You are not stuck. You are not flawed. You are simply being prepared for a connection that requires a level of self-mastery that the collective never demands. But once you are alone and feel whole, the universe sends a new and intensely confusing test, a person who makes you feel less alone than anyone before. But be warned, this person is not yet true love. This is step 2, the encounter with the reflection. Stay with me to understand how the anima and animus can trick your heart. The moment you thought you found your soulmate, the one person who finally saw you, was likely the moment your own unconscious played its most beautiful, most devastating trick. After the long, desolate exile of step 1, the universe often sends a relief package. A remarkable figure appears. They have the charisma you lack, the strength you crave, the intuitive depth you suppressed. You feel a strange shiver, a synchronicity that tells you, this is it. This is the destiny I waited for. The silent void of your life suddenly turns into music. This feeling, this instant magnetic pull, is so intense that we confuse it for fated love. But Carl Jung gives us the brutal truth. This is not your soulmate. This is your reflection. In Jungian terms, this is the activation of your anima. If you are a man, seeing your missing feminine softness, or your animus, if you are a woman, seeing your missing masculine decisiveness. The key is this: you are not falling in love with them. You are falling in love with the hidden, unlived part of yourself projected onto them. They become a living, breathing, flawless mirror, showing you the potential you have yet to claim. And this is the danger, the great Achilles heel of the rare soul. Because you haven't integrated these qualities internally, because you haven't mastered your own self-sufficiency, you mistake the mirror for a savior. You see their strength and think, finally, a shield for my fears. You see their empathy and think, finally, someone to hold all my buried pain. But love built entirely on this projection is inherently fragile. It is a house built on sand. The moment the projection fades, the moment they show a flaw, a shadow, or a moment of ordinariness, the disappointment is catastrophic. The reflection shatters, and the perfect dream collapses into an abyss. So what does Stoicism tell us about this intoxicating illusion? It reminds us that our highest goal is eudaimonia, human flourishing achieved through virtue, not through external people or events. Seneca advised us on the importance of self-possession. If you are complete and whole before they arrive, you will see them as they truly are, not as a missing puzzle piece. The challenge here is to shift your mindset. Are you seeking a partner to complete you, or are you seeking an equal to complement your existing wholeness? The harsh lesson of the anima, animus phase, is not that you failed at love, it's that you were given a gift of self-discovery. They were a messenger sent by the universe to point a flashlight into the dark corners of your own potential. If a man is mesmerized by a woman's unwavering decisiveness, the universe is whispering, That strength belongs to you. Go claim it. If a woman is drawn to a man's profound sensitivity, the universe is showing her. That capacity for gentle empathy is dormant inside you. Go integrate it. The love you felt was real, but it was primarily love for your own unrealized potential. Your task now is to stop chasing the reflection and begin the work of integrating the shadow traits to become the thing you admire. Only when you stop viewing them as your savior can you begin to appreciate them as a real, flawed, and beautiful human being. But beware. This internal work triggers the most ferocious resistance of all, one that will tempt you to destroy the very thing you desire. Next, we must confront step 3, self-sabotage and the resistance from the shadow. Don't go anywhere. The person who is truly stopping you from finding love is not the one who left or the one you haven't met. It's the version of you lurking in the dark, desperate to keep you safe and small. We've navigated the loneliness of the collective and survived the seductive trick of the reflection. Now comes the most paradoxical trial of the rare soul, self-sabotage. You finally meet someone real, someone grounded, someone who sees the authentic you without judgment. But instead of leaning in, a panic erupts. You suddenly find 100 reasons to pull away. You unconsciously become the demolisher of your own happiness, undermining the very connection you've spent years praying for. Carl Jung called this the uprising of the shadow. The shadow is the repository of every wound, every fear of abandonment, every past betrayal you swore you would never experience again. The paradox is that the shadow often remains dormant in wrong relationships because they pose no real threat to your established defense mechanisms. But when true love appears genuine light, it demands that you open the darkest, dustiest rooms of your inner world. And that demand provokes a fierce rebellion. The shadow hates change, and it whispers its lies. They must be hiding something. Trust no one. Push them away before they get the chance to abandon you. Self-sabotage isn't always a dramatic breakup. It's often subtle treachery. It's the unreasonable test you set for them. Let's see if they call me first for a week. It's feigning indifference to measure their commitment. You think you are testing their love, but in reality, your shadow is controlling the ship. A woman once told me she started nitpicking her new partner's clothes and mannerisms, suddenly finding him inadequate. Her unconscious fear of intimacy was manufacturing reasons to escape the love that felt too good, too vulnerable to be true. You are not rejecting them. You are rejecting your own capacity for healing. How do we face this inner traitor? This is where the Stoic concept of the inner citadel, faudai noi tam, becomes our lifeline. Epictetus taught us that external events are not within our control, but our reaction to them is. The shadow operates by flooding you with emotional impulses, fear, suspicion. The Stoic response is to pause and examine the impulse. Ask yourself, as Marcus Aurelius often advised, is this feeling based on reality, or is it merely the old darkness speaking? By separating the impulse from the fact, you reclaim control. You are making the unconscious conscious. True love is like warm sunlight. It reveals the dust, but it also gives you the light to clean it up. The shadow wants you to close the curtains and stay in the familiar dusty darkness. Your heroic choice now is to clean the room. Jung called this integrating the shadow, not destroying your fear, but recognizing its voice and choosing not to let it steer your life. This phase demands the highest form of courage and trust. Trusting someone else when trust feels most terrifying, and trusting your own strength to handle the vulnerability. If you keep pushing love away, know this. It is not a failure of destiny. It is a signal that you are in a crucial battle with your own inner architecture. Every time you pause before sabotaging, every time you choose to stay instead of flee, you are not just getting closer to them. You are completing your deepest internal work. But once you conquer the fear of the shadow, you face the final silent demand to tear down the very identity you built on pain. Get ready for step 4. Inner restructuring and the collapse of old identity. Don't go anywhere. The hardest part is next. You can fight the darkness. You can survive the reflection, but you will never find true peace until you are brave enough to burn down the person you pretended to be. We've reached step 4, inner restructuring. This is where the universe stops asking you to heal a wound and starts demanding you rebuild your entire foundation. If confronting the shadow was just cleaning a dusty room, this is realizing the entire blueprint of the old house was wrong. It was never designed to hold your true soul. The universe requires a complete internal overhaul, a process Jung famously called individuation. It is the painful, relentless journey to become the real you, stripped bare of everything you were told to be. One of the subtlest traps for the rare soul is turning your past suffering into your identity. We wear our wounds like medals. I'm profound because I've endured more. I'm special because I'm hard to love. We cling to this noble story of pain because it justifies our difference and shields us from the risk of intimacy. But true love cannot thrive on a foundation of historical pain. Inner restructuring means daring to let go of that narrative. It means asking yourself the terrifying question, if I am not my suffering, who am I? In practice, this manifests as seemingly irrational decisions to outsiders. You quit the stable but soul-stifling job. You cut ties with toxic, long-standing friendships that kept you small. You let go of lifelong roles, the obedient child, the overburdened caretaker, the always available savior roles you assume to earn conditional love. This is the ego's greatest challenge, allowing those carefully constructed false identities to collapse. Panic sets in because, for the first time since childhood, you stand raw and unadorned. No medals, no masks, no inherited script. The Stoics give us the bedrock for this demolition work. They emphasize autonomy, the complete self-rule achieved through reason. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This process is the living embodiment of that quote. You are defining your value internally, based on your character and virtue, not externally based on social roles or achievements. You realize the true cost of those old roles was your soul's freedom. You are not worried about the chaos of change. You are focused on the virtue of becoming the person you should be. And here is the miracle that follows this painful internal combustion. Your energy shifts. When you stop using your loneliness to define yourself and stop trying to impress others to earn validation, you become whole in your own presence. You enter a room and no longer scan for someone to complete you. That new energy, the energy of unshakable authenticity, acts like a powerful magnet. It ceases to attract dependency and illusions, the reflections, and begins to attract genuine connection, people and opportunities that align with your authentic, fully structured self. Jung stated, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, but this acceptance is your liberation." Inner restructuring may cost you your old, familiar world, but it gives you something infinitely more valuable, yourself whole, uncompromised, and true. Only when you stand this tall, this autonomous, are you ready for the final paradoxical step. The final trial demands that you abandon the very desire that started this journey. Next, step 5, the paradoxical surrender to life. After all this work, all this pain, all this growth, the final lesson the universe gives you is this. The moment you stop desperately needing love is the moment you become ready to receive it. We've arrived at step 5, the paradoxical surrender. You have faced the collective, conquered the reflection, dismantled the shadow, and rebuilt your inner house. You stand whole. Yet, the final demand is the most elusive. You must let go of the very obsession that fueled your journey, the intense desire to find love. This is not about giving up, it's about radical acceptance. You stop seeing love as a condition for feeling complete and start seeing your life as complete right now. The Stoics offer the deepest understanding of this surrender through amor fati, the love of one's fate. Amor fati isn't passive resignation. It's the active, joyful acceptance of everything that happens, including the current state of your single life. Marcus Aurelius taught us that peace comes not from having what you want, but from wanting what you have. When you truly embody this, you release the anxiety of the search, you stop thrashing in the water, and you simply float. This is the ultimate self-mastery, controlling the desire itself. Jungian psychology affirms this shift. Before you operated from need, I need a partner to validate my worth, to fill my loneliness, to save me. This needy energy attracts lack. After step 4, you operate from desire. I am whole. I desire a partner to share my fullness, to amplify my existing joy. This is the fundamental difference. When you are complete, love is no longer a necessity for survival. It is a gift, a bonus, not a requirement. Your intrinsic value is no longer tied to someone else's presence. In real life, surrender looks like this. You stop forcing dates. You immerse yourself in the work you love, eudaimonia. You travel alone. You cultivate your passions. You live so fully in your own truth that you forget you were even looking. I know a man who searched desperately for 10 years until he decided to drop it all and focus on his career and his long-forgotten passion for painting. He met his partner completely by accident in a gallery, not while hunting on an app, but while simply living in his own wholeness. He wasn't searching for connection, he was emitting it. This paradoxical surrender is the final proof that you have achieved individuation. You have unhooked your identity from external outcomes. You have passed all 5 trials. You no longer fear loneliness, reject yourself, or allow the shadow to control you. You simply are. And when you are fully present and completely accepting of your current fate, amor fati, you open the door for the universe to act without the pressure of your desperation. Think of it. The sun is always shining, but we often look down, too busy searching, to simply lift our heads and see it. Love is the same. It never disappeared. You were just too busy chasing the illusion of a necessity to recognize the gift of its presence. The greatest paradox of the rare soul is that only when you achieve the self-mastery to live without love do you become truly capable of experiencing it fully. If this journey resonated with your soul, know you are not alone. Hit the like button and share this with someone who needs to hear that their struggle is their sacred contract. Until next time, stay whole, stay authentic, and stay surrendered. What if the greatest love story you will ever experience is not the one where you finally meet the one, but the one where you finally, completely meet yourself? Reflect on the journey we've taken together. The noble isolation, the mirror's seduction, the shadow's treachery, the burning down of the old house, and the paradoxical surrender. You may now realize that all these painful steps, the loneliness, the heartbreak, the self-sabotage were never random. They were milestones in your spiritual evolution. The core message is this: love is not merely a story between two people. It is a meticulous, demanding journey the universe uses to teach you who you are. When you finally stop treating love as a destination, you must desperately reach and start living in your inherent wholeness. The self-possessed state, the Stoics called virtue. A miraculous thing happens. The world softens. You stop scrambling to prove your worth. You stop constantly scanning the horizon for a savior. The frantic energy of need is replaced by the quiet power of presence. The Stoics urged us to live fully in the present moment. They taught us that anxiety is derived from the desire to control a future that does not exist. Your desperation for love was anxiety about a future loneliness. By embracing amor fati, loving your current fate, single or otherwise, you ground yourself in the now. And when you exist fully in that grounded presence, unburdened by the past, unconcerned with the future, you emit an energy of authenticity that is irresistible to kindred souls. This is the final, beautiful truth. You don't find love by chasing it. You find it when you stop chasing and simply exist. Love finds you quietly, surely, because you are no longer blinded by the fear of the shadow or the illusions of the reflection. You have achieved the clarity to see a profound connection rather than seeking a shallow transaction. The universe ensures that when your internal foundation is finally solid, the external connection that arrives will be equally solid. It comes not as a thunderous, dramatic event, but as a calm, inevitable recognition. So, if you are still walking this path, know you are not stalled. You are in the final stages of your masterpiece. The challenge was never to find someone, but to become someone whole, autonomous, and self-possessed who is capable of a love that transcends need. Look back on your journey. You never failed at love. You were simply too busy succeeding at becoming yourself. You are the rare soul, and your loneliness was your sacred laboratory. Carry that truth with you. If this message resonated, let me know in the comments below, and share this with anyone who needs to realize their struggle is their strength. Hit like and subscribe to continue building your inner fortress with us. Until next time, stay whole, stay self-aware, and remember that the love you seek is already radiating from within you.